The information provided in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional legal, financial, or real estate advice. Real estate regulations, data privacy laws, and marketing compliance standards vary significantly by state and jurisdiction. The strategies discussed are based on historical trends and case studies. However, individual results may vary based on market conditions, lead quality, and execution. Viewers are strongly encouraged to conduct their own due diligence and consult with licensed legal counsel or a certified marketing professional before implementing any automated communication systems or lead generation strategies. Most real estate agents are currently operating what can only be described as a digital graveyard. You spend thousands of dollars on Zillow leads, Facebook ads, and Google PPC only to watch those names sit in a CRM gathering digital dust until they eventually unsubscribe or worse, sign a listing agreement with the agent down the street who simply happened to call them at the right time. There is a staggering statistic in the American real estate industry that often goes ignored. Approximately 90% of agents fail within their first 5 years. If you look at the data behind those failures, it is rarely a lack of charisma or a lack of knowledge about the local market. It is almost always a failure of systems. Specifically, it is the failure to bridge the gap between the moment a lead enters your orbit and the moment they are actually ready to sign a contract. In the current 2026 market, where inventory remains tight and the competition for every single listing is fiercer than ever, relying on manual follow-up is not just inefficient, it is a recipe for professional obsolescence. You are fighting against an attention economy where the average consumer is bombarded by thousands of marketing messages a day. If your strategy for staying top of mind is, "I will try to remember to call them in 2 weeks," you have already lost. This video is the first installment of a 10-part masterclass designed to transform your business from a manual high-stress grind into a streamlined conversion machine. We are going to dive deep into the specific architecture of email marketing for real estate, a tool that many claim is dead, yet remains the highest ROI marketing channel in existence. Historical trends consistently show that for every dollar spent on email marketing, the potential outcome is an average return of $36 to $42. In the context of a real estate commission, where a single closed deal can represent $10,000, $20,000, or $50,000, the math of mastering this channel is undeniable. However, most agents are doing it entirely wrong. They are sending generic, automated Happy Arbor Day cards or monthly newsletters filled with national market stats that have zero relevance to a buyer in a specific zip code. That is not marketing, that is spam. And in 2026, spam doesn't just get ignored, it gets your domain blacklisted and your reputation tarnished. The problem we are solving today is the leaky bucket syndrome. Imagine your real estate business as a bucket. You are pouring water into that bucket through your open houses, your social media presence, and your paid advertising. But for the average agent, that bucket is riddled with holes. The leads leak out the bottom because the speed to lead is too slow or the long-term nurture is non-existent. Research into consumer behavior indicates that the typical home buying or selling journey in the United States lasts anywhere from 6 to 18 months. Yet, most agents only follow up with a lead for the first 2 weeks. If that lead isn't ready to buy a house in the next 14 days, the agent moves on to the next shiny object. This creates a massive opportunity for the agent who understands how to use email to build a relationship of trust over time. Think about the psychological state of a high-intent real estate lead. They are likely making the largest financial decision of their lives. They are anxious, they are overwhelmed by conflicting information, and they are terrified of making a mistake. They do not want to be sold a house, they want to be guided through a process. Email marketing, when executed correctly, allows you to provide that guidance at scale. It allows you to be the digital mayor of your town, the person who provides the most value, the most insight, and the most consistent presence. We are going to move away from the transactional mindset and into the relational mindset, using data-driven sequences that trigger based on how your leads actually interact with your content. In this deep dive, we are going to explore why your current email open rates might be hovering at a dismal 15% and how top-tier performers are hitting 40 or 50%. We will discuss the shift from rented land to owned land. If you have 10,000 followers on a social media platform, you are operating on rented land. The algorithm can change tomorrow or the platform could disappear, and your access to your audience would vanish with it. But an email list is an asset you own. It is a direct line of communication that bypasses the noise of social feeds. We will also address the massive shifts in the industry following the landmark legal settlements regarding commissions. The value proposition is no longer an optional part of your pitch. It is the core of your survival. You must be able to demonstrate your worth long before you ever meet a client for coffee. Email marketing is the vehicle for that demonstration. It allows you to deliver social proof, local expertise, and process transparency directly to their inbox, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without you having to lift a finger once the system is built. Consider a case study of a mid-sized team in Austin, Texas. They were spending $6,000 a month on lead generation, but were frustrated by a conversion rate of less than 1%. Upon auditing their process, it was discovered that while they were great at the initial phone call, they had no system for the in-between. They weren't staying in touch with the person who said, "We're thinking about moving after the school year ends." By implementing a multi-stage nurture sequence, which we will break down in the coming parts of this series, they saw their conversion rate climb to 3.5% within 12 months. That small percentage shift resulted in an additional $200,000 in gross commission income. They didn't spend more on ads. They simply stopped wasting the leads they already had. The promise of this masterclass is simple but profound. By the end of this 10-part series, you will have the blueprint to build an automated ecosystem that identifies your hottest prospects, educates your future clients, and ensures that when a lead is finally ready to move, you are the only person they think of calling. We are going to cover everything from the technical setup of your sender reputation to the psychological triggers of a high-converting subject line. We will analyze the bait, your lead magnets, the hook, your initial welcome sequence, and the long-term nurture, the 33-touch system modernized for 2026. If you have ever felt the commission roller coaster, that cycle of having 3 closings one month and 0 the next, it is because your pipeline is not being consistently managed. You are focusing on the now business at the expense of the future business. We are going to end that cycle today. We are going to treat your email list not as a spreadsheet of names, but as a community of people who are looking for a leader. You are going to become that leader. In the next few sections of this series, we will get into the how-to. But first, you must understand the why. You must commit to the idea that your most valuable asset is the attention of your database. If you can capture that attention, provide immense value without asking for anything in return, and remain consistent when everyone else gives up, you will dominate your local market. Let's begin the process of turning your dead leads into your most profitable clients. To understand why email marketing is the backbone of a high-producing real estate business in 2026, you must first understand the psychology of the modern American consumer's inbox. Imagine a potential client named David. David is a 45-year-old project manager living in a suburb of Chicago. He is currently scrolling through his phone at 6 in the morning. His inbox is a chaotic battlefield of work notifications, Amazon shipping updates, and promotional blasts from every store he has ever visited. For David to stop scrolling and actually click on an email from a real estate agent, that email cannot look like a sales pitch. It must look like a solution to a problem he is currently facing. Historical trends suggest that the average person receives over 120 emails per day. If you are just another agent sending a generic monthly newsletter with a picture of a pumpkin in October and a snowflake in December, you are essentially invisible to David. The foundation of a high-conversion email strategy begins with the lead magnet. In 2026, the era of the low-value lead magnet is officially over. 5 years ago, you could offer a free home valuation and get hundreds of signups. Today, everyone has access to automated valuation models via Zillow, Redfin, and even their banking apps. To capture a high-quality lead today, you must provide hyperlocal, specialized data that an algorithm cannot replicate. Consider a case study of an agent in Charlotte, North Carolina. Instead of a general buyer's guide, she created a PDF titled The 2026 Relocation Blueprint, Navigating the New Property Tax Assessments in Mecklenburg County. This specific resource addressed a massive pain point for residents following a recent tax overhaul. By offering a resource that saved her audience hours of research and potential financial stress, her opt-in rate increased by 300% compared to her previous generic home search tool. When you are building your lead magnets, think about specific buckets of interest. For sellers, your lead magnet might be the 5 upgrades that return 200% value in the 2026 Austin housing market. For buyers, it might be the first-time homeowner's guide to competing against institutional investors. These are not just titles. They are promises of expert-level value. Potential outcomes of this approach include a much higher lead-to-appointment conversion rate, because you have established yourself as an authority before the first phone call even takes place. You are no longer a salesperson, you are a consultant. Once you have captured the lead, the second pillar of your infrastructure is technical deliverability. This is the part most agents ignore, which is why their emails end up in the promotions tab or worse, the spam folder. In 2024 and 2025, major email providers like Google and Yahoo implemented strict requirements for bulk senders. In 2026, these rules are even more stringent. You cannot effectively run a real estate business from a generic @gmail.com or at yahoo.com address. You must have a professional domain, such as your name at yourlocalrealestate.com. Furthermore, you must ensure your SPF, DKIM, and MARC records are correctly configured. Think of these as the digital credentials that prove to the world you are a legitimate business. Without them, even the most beautiful email will never see the light of day. Historical data from digital marketing firms shows that properly authenticated domains see a 20% higher open rate, simply because they are trusted by the receiving servers. After the technical setup, we move into the vital stage of segmentation. Imagine if David, our project manager in Chicago, is actually looking to downsize because his kids just left for college. If you send him a guide on how to find the best school districts in the city, you have proven that you don't know who he is. You have broken the rapport. In your CRM, every lead must be tagged based on their life cycle stage. Are they a first-time buyer? An empty nester? A luxury seller? An investor looking for multifamily units? In 2026, the most successful agents use behavior-based segmentation. If a lead clicks on a link in your email about investment properties, your CRM should automatically tag them as an investor and trigger a specific sequence of emails tailored to cap rates and rental laws. This level of automation ensures that your messaging is always relevant. Let's look at a scenario involving a couple named Marcus and Sarah in Phoenix. They are looking for a 3-bedroom home with a pool, but they are concerned about the rising costs of homeowners association fees and water rights in their area. If they receive a segmented email from you titled Understanding Water Rights and HOA Regulations in Maricopa County, the psychological impact is massive. They feel seen. They feel like you are the only agent who understands their specific anxieties. This is how you build a moat around your database that no national portal can penetrate. Case studies have shown that segmented campaigns can lead to a 700% increase in revenue compared to non-segmented, one-size-fits-all broadcasts. The third pillar of this infrastructure is the welcome sequence. The first 48 hours after a lead enters your database are the most critical. This is when their interest is at its peak and their memory of you is fresh. Most agents make the mistake of either not following up at all or sending a purely transactional, "When can you see a house?" email. Instead, your welcome sequence should follow a 3-part framework. Day 0, the delivery. Send them the lead magnet they ask for immediately. Do not make them wait. Day 1, the origin story. Tell them why you do what you do and what makes your approach different. Focus on a client success story that mirrors their situation. Day 2, the value drop. Provide an unasked-for piece of high-value advice. For example, tell them the one mistake most people in their zip code make when selecting a lender. By the end of this 3-day sequence, you haven't just sent emails. You have conducted a mini masterclass in why you are the best person to represent them. You are building a relationship on autopilot. You are conditioning them to open your emails because they know every time your name pops up, they are going to learn something that saves them time or money. This is the nurture in lead nurture. It is the process of moving someone from a cold stranger to a warm prospect who feels like they already know, like, and trust you. Think about the sheer volume of data you are collecting during this process. Every click, every open, and every unsubscribe is a data point that tells you what your market actually cares about. If you notice that your email about property tax protests has a 60% open rate while your email about local coffee shops has a 10% open rate, the market is screaming at you to provide more financial and legal guidance. In the 2026 real estate landscape, the agent with the best data and the most relevant communication wins the listing. Now that we have established your infrastructure, your lead magnets, and your segmentation strategy, we have built the engine. But an engine is useless without the right fuel. The fuel for your email marketing machine is the actual copy, the words you use to grab attention and drive action. Most agents struggle with blank page syndrome, or they write in a way that sounds like a stiff, formal legal document. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to break down the exact copywriting formulas used by the world's top digital marketers to write subject lines that get opened and calls to action that get clicked. We will dive into the curiosity gap, the PAYS formula, and how to use AI-driven writing tools to sound more human, not less. If you think you know how to write an email, wait until you see the psychological triggers we are going to reveal next. Do you know why a 2-word subject line almost always outperforms a 10-word one? We are going to explore that mystery and much more in Part 3. The reason a 2-word subject line almost always outperforms a 10-word one in 2026 comes down to the personal email test. Think about the last time you received an email from a close friend or a business partner. Did the subject line read, "A comprehensive analysis of our recent weekend trip and future planning"? Of course not. It likely said, "The trip or quick question." When a potential lead like David, who we discussed earlier, sees a long, polished headline in his inbox, his brain instantly categorizes it as marketing. He knows he is being sold to, and his defensive filters go up. However, when he sees a subject line that simply says, "Your house" or question regarding, he is much more likely to open it because it looks like a personal communication. This is a psychological trigger known as the pattern interrupt. In a world of overproduced marketing, simplicity is the ultimate disruption. Historical trends in email marketing across the United States have shown that subject lines with fewer than 20 characters see an average open rate increase of 17%. But it is not just about length, it is about the curiosity gap. The curiosity gap is a copywriting technique that provides enough information to pique interest, but not enough to satisfy it. You are essentially creating a mental itch that can only be scratched by clicking the email. For example, instead of a subject line that says, "Interest rates dropped by 0.25% today," which tells the whole story and allows the user to archive the email without opening it, you might use "The rate shift." This forces David to open the email to understand the context and how it specifically affects his situation in the 2026 market. Another high-performance strategy for 2026 is the PAS formula, which stands for problem, agitation, and solution. This is the engine of high-converting real estate email copy. Let's look at how this works in a real-world scenario with a character named Sarah, a homeowner in Nashville who is considering selling, but is terrified of the current inventory shortage. You don't start the email by telling Sarah how great you are at selling houses. You start with the problem. The first line of your email might say, "The biggest hurdle for sellers right now isn't finding a buyer. It's finding the next place to live." Now you move into the agitation phase. This is where you pull on the emotional threads of the problem to make it feel more urgent. You might write, "I've talked to 3 neighbors this week who want to move but are paralyzed by the fear of being homeless for 2 months between closings. They are stuck in houses that are too small, feeling more cramped every day, while their equity sits idle." You are describing her exact life. Finally, you provide the solution. This is why we developed our Bridge to Buy program, which allows you to secure your next home before you even list your current one. By following this PAS structure, you aren't just sending information. You are providing an emotional arc that leads directly to your services as the logical answer. Case studies from top-performing teams in 2026 suggest that the most effective calls to action, or CTAs, have shifted from high-friction to low-friction requests. A high-friction request is something like, "Click here to schedule a 45-minute strategy session on my calendar." For a lead who is still in the research phase, that feels like a massive commitment. Feels like they are about to walk into a sales trap. A low-friction request, on the other hand, asks for a simple, non-threatening response. For example, reply with the word "guide," and I'll send over that neighborhood map we discussed. Or, "Do you think you'll be looking to move before the school year starts?" These are micro-conversions. Each time a lead replies to your email, it does 2 things. It builds a habit of engagement with you, and it signals to email providers like Gmail that your content is important, which dramatically improves your future deliverability. Imagine if you could automate the feeling of a personal one-on-one conversation. In 2026, the best agents are using AI-driven personalization that goes far beyond just inserting a first name. These systems can look at the specific property a lead viewed on your site and trigger an email that mentions a local detail about that specific block. If Marcus is looking at a home near a newly announced park project in Denver, your automated email could include a sentence like, "That property is actually 3 minutes away from the new Greenway expansion they just approved last Tuesday." This level of hyperlocalization makes it nearly impossible for a lead to distinguish your automated nurture from a handwritten note. The potential outcomes of this approach include a massive increase in trust and a significant reduction in the time it takes to move a lead from the top of the funnel to a signed listing agreement. Let's dive deeper into the formatting of your emails. In 2026, the trend has moved away from heavy HTML templates with big banners and multiple columns. These look like flyers and often get pushed into the Promotions tab. The highest converting emails now are plain text or simplified HTML that looks like a standard message. Use short sentences. Use a lot of white space. A paragraph in an email should rarely be longer than 3 sentences. This is because over 80% of your audience is reading your email on a mobile device while they are in line at a grocery store or waiting for a meeting. If they see a wall of text, they will close the app. You need to write for the skimmer, not the reader. Think about the tone of your writing. In the US real estate market, there is often a push to sound overly professional and corporate. But historical data shows that a more conversational, approachable expert tone wins every time. Use the word you more than you use the word I. Your email should be about the client's journey, not your resume. Instead of saying, I have sold 50 homes this year, say you deserve an advocate who has navigated 50 successful closings in this specific high-interest environment. It is a subtle shift, but it puts the client at the center of the story. To truly master this, you must also understand the concept of the value loop. Every email you send should provide more value than it takes in time to read. If you send an email asking for a referral without first providing a market insight or a helpful resource, you are withdrawing from the relationship bank account without making a deposit. Top agents in 2026 aim for a ratio of 4 value-add emails for every 1 ask email. This ensures that when you finally do make an ask, the lead feels a psychological sense of reciprocity and is much more likely to comply. We have now covered the mechanics of the subject line, the power of the PS formula, and the necessity of low-friction calls to action. You have the tools to write emails that people actually want to read. But even the best email in the world is just a single point of contact. To truly dominate a market, you need a system that hits them from multiple angles over a long period. This brings us to the most feared and misunderstood concept in real estate marketing, the 33-touch system. Many agents think this means calling someone 33 times a year, which is a great way to get blocked. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to reveal the modern 33-touch blueprint for 2026. We will show you exactly how to stay in front of a lead for an entire year without ever being annoying, including the specific timing of when to send market reports, when to send personal check-ins, and the one magic email that has a historically high rate of reviving dead leads. Do you know which day of the week is actually the best for sending a real estate update? The answer might shock you, and we are breaking it down in part 4. The data regarding the best day of the week for email engagement has undergone a radical shift as we have moved into 2026. For decades, the standard advice was to send your marketing blasts on Tuesday or Thursday at 10 in the morning. However, historical trends from the last 24 months indicate that these windows are now the most saturated and, consequently, the least effective for real estate agents. In 2026, the modern American professional is overwhelmed by midweek digital noise. Their inbox is a flood of corporate communications and work-related stressors. If your email about a new listing or a market update hits their phone while they are in the middle of a Tuesday morning stand-up meeting, it is destined to be swiped into the trash without a second thought. Recent case studies involving high-producing teams in suburban markets like Scottsdale and Alpharetta have revealed a surprising new peak: Saturday mornings between 8 and 10. Why Saturday? Imagine a potential client named Robert. Robert is a high-earning software architect who has been browsing listings on his phone for 6 months. During the work week, he has zero mental bandwidth to engage with a real estate agent. But on Saturday morning, while he is having his coffee and his family is still asleep, he is in a receptive, aspirational state of mind. This is when he is actually looking at Zillow. This is when he is dreaming about that extra bedroom or the backyard with the outdoor kitchen. When your email arrives during this window, you aren't an interruption to his work. You are a facilitator of his weekend goals. Data shows that Saturday morning emails in the real estate sector currently see an average click-through rate that is 22% higher than the Tuesday morning average. Now, let's talk about the architecture of the modern 33-touch system. The original 33-touch concept was popularized years ago, but in 2026, the execution must be far more sophisticated to avoid being labeled as spam. You cannot simply send 33 generic emails and expect a positive outcome. You need a diversified mix of content that hits different psychological triggers throughout the year. The first component of your 33-touch engine should be the monthly hyperlocal market report. This accounts for 12 touches, but notice the emphasis on hyperlocal. In 2026, a report on national home price averages is useless to a consumer. Your report must focus on the specific zip code or even the specific neighborhood of your lead. For instance, if you are targeting the Buckhead area of Atlanta, Your report should detail exactly how many homes went under contract in the last 30 days within a 2-mile radius of the lead's current address. It should include the average days on market for that specific pocket and, most importantly, a section on why those homes sold. Was it professional staging? Was it a price correction? By providing this level of granular detail, you establish yourself as the undeniable local authority. The second component is the quarterly lifestyle update, which accounts for 4 touches. These are not about real estate at all. They are about community. Imagine you are an agent named Jordan in Denver. Once every 3 months, Jordan sends an email titled "The Best Hidden Hiking Trails and Coffee Patios in North Denver for 2026. This email provides pure value with no strings attached. It reminds the lead that Jordan isn't just a person who sells houses. He is a neighbor who loves the community just as much as they do. This builds a massive amount of social capital. When the time eventually comes for that lead to sell their home, the reciprocity bias kicks in. They feel a sense of loyalty to Jordan, because he has been providing them with useful local insights for months. The third component is the personal check-in, accounting for another 4 touches. These should be plain text emails that look like they were typed manually on your iPhone while you were waiting for a listing appointment. The subject line should be something simple like, "Quick question or thinking of you." The body of the email might say, "Hi Robert, I saw a house hit the market today on Oak Street that reminded me of what you were looking for last year. Are you still keeping an eye on that neighborhood? Or have your plans shifted?" This feels personal, low pressure, and high service. But what do you do with the leads that have gone completely cold? Every agent has a database full of people who haven't opened an email in 6 months. This is where the 9-word email comes into play. This is a technique that has been refined over years of direct response marketing and remains one of the most powerful tools in a real estate agent's arsenal in 2026. The email contains no images, no signature, and only 1 sentence. The subject line is the person's first name. The body says, "Are you still looking for a home in?" Consider the case study of an agent named Chloe in San Diego. Chloe had a list of 400 leads who had stopped responding to her automated sequences. She sent this 9-word email to the entire group on a Sunday afternoon. Within 4 hours, she had 42 replies. Some said, "No, we decided to stay put," which allowed her to clean her list. But 12 people said, "Actually, we paused because of the rates, but we are starting to look again." Out of those 12, Chloe secured 3 buyer consultations and 1 listing appointment within the same week. The reason this works is that it removes all friction. It is a closed-ended question that requires a 1-word answer. It doesn't look like marketing. It looks like a person reaching out to help. To implement this 33-touch system, you must use a CRM that allows for smart plans or drip campaigns that can be paused and resumed based on lead behavior. In 2026, if a lead replies to an automated email, the automation must stop immediately so you can take over the conversation manually. Nothing kills rapport faster than a lead asking a specific question and then receiving another automated "Happy Monday" email 3 hours later, because you forgot to turn off the machine. Furthermore, you need to integrate video email into at least 6 of your 33 touches. Using platforms that allow you to embed a short, 15-second video thumbnail in the body of the email is a game changer for conversion. In 2026, consumers are increasingly wary of AI-generated content. A video of you standing in front of a local landmark, or even just in your car speaking directly to them, proves that you are a real human being. It puts a face to the name and a voice to the text. Historical trends show that emails containing the word "video" in the subject line see an 8% higher open rate, and those with an actual video link see a 50% higher engagement rate. As you build out this year-long calendar, you are creating a predictable revenue engine. You are no longer wondering where your next deal is coming from. You are simply managing the flow of the conversations that your system is generating for you. However, there is a technical trap that many agents fall into that can cause this entire system to collapse. If you send too many emails without the proper unsubscribe hygiene, or if you trigger the wrong filters, your domain will be marked as high risk by major providers like Outlook and Apple Mail. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the compliance and deliverability deep dive. We will show you the exact settings you need to check right now to ensure your emails aren't being blocked before they even reach the inbox. We will also discuss the secret list cleaning tactic that actually increases your sales by removing people from your database. Do you know why having a smaller, more engaged list is actually more profitable than having a list of 10,000 people who never open your mail? We are going to reveal the math of list hygiene and how to protect your digital reputation in Part 5. The math of list hygiene is often the most painful lesson for a real estate agent to learn because it feels counterintuitive to everything we are taught about lead generation. We are told that more is better, that the agent with the biggest database wins, and that every email address represents a potential commission. However, in the high-stakes digital environment of 2026, a bloated, unengaged email list is not an asset. It is a liability that can actively destroy your ability to reach your best clients. Imagine a professional named Amanda, a top-tier agent in Seattle. Amanda had spent 5 years and tens of thousands of dollars building a database of 15,000 leads. On paper, she was a mogul, but her open rates had plummeted to a staggering 5%. When she sent out a new exclusive listing, only a handful of people even saw it. Most of her emails were being diverted into the spam or promotions folders before her audience even had a chance to ignore them. This happened because Amanda was falling victim to the sender reputation algorithm. In 2026, email service providers like Gmail, Outlook, and Apple Mail use sophisticated AI to evaluate your worthiness as a sender. They look at your engagement to broadcast ratio. If you send an email to 10,000 people and 8,000 of them do not open it, the service providers assume your content is low value or unwanted. Over time, they stop delivering your emails to the inbox at all, even for the people who actually want to hear from you. This is why a list of 2,000 highly engaged subscribers is infinitely more profitable than a list of 15,000 ghosts. When Amanda finally made the difficult decision to scrub her list, deleting over 10,000 inactive names, her open rates jumped to 45% overnight. Her deliverability soared because the algorithms finally recognized her as a high-value sender. To protect your digital reputation, you must implement a strict sunset policy. This is a step-by-step automated process that identifies and removes unengaged leads before they damage your sender score. In 2026, a standard sunset policy looks like this. If a lead has not opened an email from you in 60 days, they are moved into a re-engagement sequence. This sequence consists of 3 high-value, Hail Mary emails designed to provoke a response. If they still do not engage after those 3 attempts, they are automatically unsubscribed from your primary list. It feels like throwing money away, but historical trends show that the cost of keeping a dead lead is far higher than the cost of losing one. Let's break down the technical side of this protection, specifically the DMARC, SPF, and DKIM protocols that we touched on earlier. In 2026, these are no longer optional. SPF, or Sender Policy Framework, is essentially a list of the servers that are authorized to send emails on behalf of your domain. DKIM, or Domain Keys Identified Mail, adds a digital signature to your emails, proving they weren't tampered with in transit. But the heavy hitter is DMARC, or Domain-Based Message Authentication, Reporting, and Conformance. Setting your DMARC policy to P equals reject tells the world that if an email claiming to be from you doesn't pass those first 2 tests, it should be blocked entirely. This prevents spoofing and protects your brand. Step by step, you need to access your domain's DNS settings, create a TXT record for DMARC, and ensure it is configured to receive reports so you can see if anyone is trying to impersonate your professional real estate domain. Now, consider the legal landscape of 2026. The CAN-SPAM Act and evolving state-level privacy laws in the United States have become more strictly enforced. Compliance is not just about avoiding fines, it is about building trust. Every single email you send must include a clear, physical office address and a functioning, one-click unsubscribe link. Some agents try to hide the unsubscribe link by making the text tiny or the color faint. This is a massive mistake. If a lead wants to leave your list and they cannot find the unsubscribe button, they will hit the report spam button instead. A spam report is 10 times more damaging to your reputation than an unsubscribe. You should actually make your unsubscribe link easy to find. You want people who aren't interested to leave quickly and quietly so they don't drag down your metrics. Imagine a lead named Greg. Greg was looking for a home in San Francisco 3 years ago. He is still on an agent's list, receiving weekly updates about a market he no longer cares about because he moved to Florida. Greg is annoyed. Every time he sees that agent's name, he feels a microdose of frustration. If that agent makes it hard for Greg to leave, Greg becomes a digital enemy. But if the agent has a clean, professional system that allows Greg to opt out easily, or even better, a system that notices Greg hasn't opened an email in 6 months and removes him automatically, the agent's reputation remains intact. To take your list hygiene to the next level in 2026, you should also utilize list scrubbing services. These are third-party tools that scan your database for spam traps and hard bounces. A hard bounce occurs when an email address no longer exists. This happens frequently in real estate as people change jobs and lose access to corporate emails. If you continue to send mail to a hard bounce address, it tells the providers that you are using an old, unverified list, which is a hallmark of a spammer. A professional scrub once a quarter can remove these toxic addresses and ensure your bounce rate stays below the critical 1% threshold. The math of a smaller list also improves your return on ad spend. Most CRM and email marketing platforms in 2026 charge you based on the number of contacts you have. If you are paying for 10,000 contacts but only 2,000 are active, you are effectively paying a 500% markup on your marketing. By cleaning your list, you lower your overhead and increase your efficiency. You can then take those savings and reinvest them into high-quality lead generation to replace the ghosts you deleted. But what about the people who are just on the fence? Before you delete them, you should run a re-engagement campaign. This is the last-ditch effort to save the relationship. A case study from a luxury agent in Miami showed that using a subject line like, "Is this the end?" followed by a very short personal message achieved a 12% resurrection rate. The email basically said, "Hi, I noticed you haven't opened my updates in a while. I don't want to clutter your inbox if you're no longer interested in Miami real estate. Should I keep you on the list? Or would you prefer I take you off?" This works because it uses the loss aversion principle. People don't like to lose access to a resource, even one they haven't been using. If they click "Keep me on," they have recommitted to the relationship, and their engagement score resets. We have now secured your technical foundation, cleaned your database, and ensured that you are legally compliant and algorithmically favored. Your sender score is high, and your emails are landing in the primary inbox. But even a perfect delivery system is useless if the bait isn't right. You need to know exactly how to attract the right people to your list in the first place, and more importantly, how to convert them once they arrive. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the world of lead magnets and landing pages. We will show you the exact layouts that are converting at over 30% in 2026, and the one specific value offer that is currently outperforming everything else for listing-hungry agents. Do you know the 3-second rule for real estate landing pages? If you miss it, you've lost the lead forever. We are breaking down the visual and psychological anatomy of a high-converting page in Part 6. The 3-second rule is the fundamental law of digital survival in 2026. Within those first 3 seconds, your landing page must answer 3 silent questions in the mind of a potential lead like Elena, a tech professional in Austin looking to upgrade her living situation. First, what are you offering? Second, why should I care? And third, what do I do next? If your page is cluttered with the giant headshot of you, a long biography about your awards, and a generic contact me form, Elena has already hit the back button. In the 2026 real estate market, your landing page is not a digital business card. It is a surgical tool designed to extract a specific piece of contact information in exchange for an irresistible piece of local value. Historical trends show that landing pages with a single focused call to action have a conversion rate nearly double those with multiple competing links. This means you must strip away your website's navigation bar, your social media icons, and your blog feed. You want to create a focused environment where the only exit is the back button or the submit button. Think of the psychological anatomy of the hero section. The headline needs to be the hook. Instead of saying "search for homes in Austin," which Elena can do on a dozen national portals, your headline should address a specific pain point or curiosity. A high-performing 2026 headline might read, "The 2026 Austin Pocket Listing Map. 12 homes for sale that aren't on Zillow yet." This creates immediate intrigue and positions you as the gatekeeper to exclusive information. The sub-headline is the mechanism. This is where you explain how the offer works and why it is superior to the alternatives. For Elena, this might look like, "Our team tracks off-market inventory and pre-foreclosures across Travis County to give our clients a 48-hour head start before the general public." Notice how this emphasizes a competitive advantage without using hyperbolic language. We are stating a process that leads to a potential outcome of finding a home in a low inventory market. This is the logic that justifies the emotional pull of the headline. Now let's look at the actual lead capture form. In 2026, the concept of form friction is the primary killer of conversion. Every field you add to a form, phone number, physical address, timeline for moving, reduces your conversion rate by an average of 5 to 10%. While you want high-quality leads, Asking for too much information too soon is like asking for a marriage proposal on a first date. The most successful agents in 2026 are using a two-step capture process. Step 1 asks only for the email address. This is a low-friction micro-commitment. Once Elena enters her email and clicks the button, she is redirected to a second page that says, "Great, where should we send the map? And by the way, would you like a text alert when a new home matches your criteria?" By splitting the request, you capture the lead's contact info first, ensuring you can follow up even if they abandon the second step. Case studies from high-volume teams in cities like Charlotte and Phoenix have demonstrated that the specific bait you use for sellers has shifted dramatically. The "what is my home worth?" lead magnet has become a commodity. To attract listings in 2026, agents are finding success with the equity strategy audit. Imagine a homeowner named David in a suburb of Atlanta. He knows his home has gone up in value, but he is worried about the tax implications of selling and the cost of his next mortgage. A landing page titled the 2026 Home Equity Protection Guide. How to move without losing your low interest rate is far more compelling to David than a generic valuation. This guide would outline historical trends in bridge loans, porting mortgages, and the specific tax exemptions available in Georgia. It positions the agent as a financial strategist rather than just a person who lists properties. The visual design of these pages must be optimized for mobile devices above all else. In 2026, over 85% of real estate lead generation happens on a smartphone. This means your loading speed is a critical conversion factor. If your landing page takes more than 2 seconds to load, your bounce rate will increase by over 50%. You must use compressed images, minimize heavy scripts, and ensure that your call to action button is within easy reach of a user's thumb. A case study of a boutique brokerage in Denver showed that simply improving their mobile page load time from 4 seconds to 1.5 seconds resulted in a 32% increase in leads without spending an extra dollar on advertising. Another psychological trigger to include on your landing page is social proof, but it must be placed strategically. Do not put a wall of text reviews at the top of the page. Instead, use a small subtle trust bar just below your CTA button. This could include the logos of local news outlets where you have been featured, or a simple line like, "Joined by 1,400 other Austin homeowners this month." This uses the principle of social validation. If Elena sees that over 1,000 other people are using this tool, her perceived risk of giving away her email address drops significantly. The most overlooked part of the landing page ecosystem is the thank you page. Most agents treat this as a dead end that simply says, "Thanks, we'll be in touch." This is a massive missed opportunity for immediate engagement. In 2026, the highest converting thank you pages include a short, 15-second video. Imagine Elena submits her email and is immediately. In 2026, the difference between a top-producing agent and one who is struggling is the ability to read digital body language. When a lead interacts with your email, they are leaving a trail of breadcrumbs that reveal their true intentions long before they ever pick up the phone to call you. The first specific action you need to monitor is the reopen spike. Imagine a lead named Thomas in San Diego. Thomas has been on your list for 6 months, silently reading your monthly market reports. Suddenly, on a Tuesday afternoon, your CRM alerts you that Thomas has opened your most recent email about local property tax assessments 5 times in the last 3 hours. In the past, you might have ignored this or thought nothing of it. But in 2026, this is a massive behavioral signal. Historical trends indicate that when a lead reopens an email multiple times within a short window, they are often sharing it with a spouse, showing it to a financial advisor, or using it as a reference for a serious discussion. They are in the decision-making phase. The potential outcome of ignoring this signal is losing Thomas to an agent who is more attentive. Instead of waiting for him to reach out, you must use a specific follow-up script that acknowledges the interest without sounding like a stalker. In 2026, the best approach is the value-based outreach. You might call Thomas or send a personalized text that says, "Hi Thomas, I was just reviewing some of the newer data on the tax assessments for the La Jolla area, and noticed a few nuances I didn't include in my last email. It made me think of your property. Do you have 2 minutes for a quick update on how these changes might affect your equity this year?" This script works because it positions you as a proactive advisor who is constantly looking out for his interests. You aren't asking if he opened the email. You are offering more of what he is clearly already interested in. The second action is the link click depth. Most agents only track if a link was clicked, but in 2026, you need to track which specific link was clicked and how many times. Imagine a scenario where a lead named Maria clicks a link in your email that leads to a mortgage amortization calculator on your site. 5 minutes later, she clicks a link to a blog post about the pros and cons of fixed-rate versus adjustable-rate mortgages in the current 2026 financial climate. This isn't just a casual browser. Maria is actively calculating her buying power. She is moving from the awareness stage to the consideration stage. Case studies from high-performing teams in Charlotte have shown that leads who click on 3 or more finance-related links within a single week are 4 times more likely to set an appointment within the next 30 days than leads who only click on property listings. The script for Maria needs to be even more targeted toward her specific anxiety. You could send a follow-up email with the subject line, "Quick thought on the rate shift." The body would say, "Maria, I've been having a lot of conversations this week with clients who are trying to balance their down payment strategies with the new lending standards we're seeing in 2026. If you're currently looking at the numbers, I have a simplified spreadsheet that helps compare different loan products side by side. Would you like me to send that over?" Again, you are providing a low-friction tool that solves the problem she is currently investigating. The third and perhaps most overlooked action is the forwarding metadata. Modern CRM systems in 2026 can often detect when an email has been opened on a new, unique device or IP address that wasn't previously associated with that lead. If your email to a lead named Kevin was originally opened on his iPhone in Chicago, but is now being opened on a desktop in a different city, it is a strong historical trend that the email has been forwarded to a relocation specialist, an employer, or a family member in the destination city. This signals a high probability move is imminent. When you see this multi-device activity, your script needs to pivot toward relocation and logistics. You might reach out to Kevin and say, "Hi Kevin. I've been helping several families lately navigate the logistics of moving into the area from out of state, especially with the new 2026 employer tax credits. It's a bit more complex than a local move. If you're starting to look at the logistical side of things, I have a checklist of the top 5 things people overlook when moving here. Happy to share if that would be helpful for you." You are anticipating his needs based on his digital behavior, which creates an incredible sense of professional competence. To manage these triggers effectively, you cannot rely on your memory. You must implement a lead scoring system within your CRM. In 2026, your daily workflow should be dictated by this score. A standard high-conversion lead score model might look like this. Opening an email is worth 1 point. Clicking a lifestyle link is worth 3 points. Clicking a financial or property link is worth 10 points. Reopening the same email 3 or more times is worth 15 points. When a lead crosses a threshold, say 25 points, they are automatically moved to your hot list for manual follow-up within 4 hours. This ensures that you are spending your most valuable resource, your time, on the people who are closest to a transaction. Imagine if you had 10 leads all reach 25 points on the same Tuesday morning. Without a system, you are just guessing who to call. With lead scoring, you can see that Thomas is at 40 points because of his reopen spike, while Maria is at 30 points because of her link depth. You call Thomas first. This is how you maximize your conversion rates in a competitive market. Historical trends show that agents who follow up with a lead within 30 minutes of a high-value trigger see an engagement rate that is 600% higher than those who wait 24 hours. However, even with the best triggers and scripts, there is a major trap that can ruin your relationship with these leads. If you are too aggressive or if your follow-up feels too automated, you will trigger the uncanny valley effect, where the lead feels like they are being watched by a machine. In 2026, the goal is to be human at scale. This means your scripts must always sound conversational, never scripted. Avoid using industry jargon and instead use the language your clients use. Instead of saying, "I noticed your engagement with our digital assets," say, "I saw your name pop up and it reminded me of a conversation we had about your home goals." The transition from a digital lead to a real-world client is a delicate bridge. You have used your email marketing to build the foundation of that bridge. You have used behavioral triggers to know when it is safe to cross. But there is one more layer of technology that most agents are still using incorrectly in 2026. It is the integration of video within these trigger-based follow-ups. If Thomas gets a personalized video from you the moment he reopens that tax email, the potential outcomes for your business are astronomical. But how do you film those videos quickly without spending all day in front of a camera? And what do you actually say in a 10-second video to make it feel authentic? In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into video email integration. We will show you the exact 3-part video script that takes less than 30 seconds to record and has a historically high response rate for cold leads. We will also discuss the specific lighting and audio tools you need in 2026 to look professional on the go. Do you know the number one reason people stop watching a real estate video within the first 5 seconds? We are revealing the answer and how to fix it in Part 8. The number one reason people stop watching a real estate video within the first 5 seconds is the self-centered introduction. Historical trends in digital consumption for 2026 show that the average attention span for an unsolicited video is now less than 4 seconds. If you spend those first 4 seconds saying, "Hi, my name is Michael with Premier Gold Realty, and I have been the top producer in this county for 10 years, you have already lost the viewer. In their mind, you are just another salesperson talking about yourself. To fix this, you must adopt the value-first hook. Instead of introducing yourself, you start with the lead's name and a visual of their specific interest. Imagine a lead named Jennifer who has been looking at luxury condos in downtown Seattle. Your video thumbnail should show you holding a small whiteboard with the words, "For Jennifer" written on it. When she clicks play, the first words out of your mouth should be, "Jennifer, I was just standing in front of the Emerald Tower and I noticed something about the Unit 402 layout that isn't visible in the listing photos." This is a pattern interrupt that signals immediate, personalized value. In 2026, the technical standards for video email have shifted from high-production studio quality to high-authenticity mobile quality. Consumers are increasingly skeptical of overly polished, corporate videos which they often perceive as AI-generated or impersonal. The potential outcome of using a raw, high-definition smartphone video filmed in a real-world environment, like a neighborhood street or inside a new listing, is a much higher trust factor. However, while the video can be raw, the audio must be flawless. Historical data from video marketing platforms suggest that viewers will tolerate poor video quality, but they will immediately close a video with poor audio. To stay competitive in 2026, every agent should be using a directional clip-on microphone or a high-quality wireless lavalier that syncs directly with their smartphone. This ensures that even if you are standing near a busy intersection in Chicago, your voice remains crisp and authoritative. Let's break down the 3-part video script that has been refined for the 2026 real estate market. This script is designed to be recorded in under 30 seconds, making it sustainable for a busy agent to send 10 to 15 of these a day. Part 1 is the personal validation. You state exactly why you are reaching out and reference a specific action the lead took. For example, "I saw you were checking out the school district reports for the North Hill area this morning." Part 2 is the specific insight. This is where you provide a piece of information that they cannot find on a standard search portal. You might say, "Most people don't realize that the North Hill area is actually scheduled for a major utility infrastructure upgrade next year which might impact property taxes." Part 3 is the low-friction exit. You do not ask for an appointment. You ask for a simple response. You say, "I have the map of the affected streets. Should I send that over to this email address?" Case studies from top-performing teams in the United States show that this 3-part structure results in a 40% higher response rate compared to standard text-based follow-ups. Consider the scenario of an agent named David in Miami. David had a list of 50 leads who had gone cold over the last 90 days. Instead of sending another automated email, he spent 1 hour on a Tuesday morning filming 50 personalized, 20-second videos using this script. He didn't use a script on a teleprompter. He just spoke naturally to his phone. Out of those 50 videos, he received 15 direct replies, which led to 4 listing appointments within the same week. The time investment was 60 minutes, but the potential outcome was tens of thousands of dollars in commission. This is the power of human-to-human connection at scale. To look professional on the go in 2026, you also need to understand the role of AI-enhanced lighting. Most modern smartphones have software that can automatically adjust your skin tone and brighten your face even in low-light conditions. But you should still follow the golden hour rule whenever possible. If you are filming indoors, stand facing a window so the natural light hits your face. Avoid having a bright window behind you, which will turn you into a dark silhouette and make you look like a generic witness in a legal documentary. In 2026, there are also pocket-sized LED panels that magnetically attach to the back of your phone, providing a soft, professional glow even if you are filming a quick update from your car between appointments. The psychology of the video thumbnail is the second most important factor after the first 5 seconds of the video itself. In 2026, your email platform will likely allow you to send an animated GIF as the preview for your video. This is where you use the whiteboard strategy. By writing the lead's name on a physical board and waving at the camera in the GIF, you are proving that the video was made specifically for them. Imagine Jennifer opening her inbox and seeing 20 emails with text subject lines, and then one email where a real human is holding a sign with her name on it. The curiosity gap is too large to ignore. She will click that video every single time. Now, let's talk about the integration of these videos into your larger 33-touch system. You shouldn't send a video for every single touch point, as that can become overwhelming for the lead. Instead, use video for the high-stakes moments. These include the initial welcome after they download a lead magnet, a follow-up after they have viewed a property on your site 3 times, and a happy anniversary message 1 year after they have closed on a home. Historical trends show that the most impactful video you can send is the pre-appointment introduction. Once a lead has agreed to a meeting, send a 30-second video saying, "I'm really looking forward to our strategy session tomorrow. I've already started pulling the comparative data for your neighborhood, so we can hit the ground running. See you at 2 p.m. This virtually eliminates no-shows, because it is much harder for a person to blow off an appointment with someone they have already met on video. As we move deeper into the 2026 landscape, the agents who win will be the ones who use technology to become more human, not less. Email marketing is the delivery vehicle, but video is the soul of the message. We have covered the technical setup, the scripts, and the psychological hooks. You now have a system that identifies leads, nurtures them with high-value content, and uses video to build an unbreakable bond of trust. But there is still one major hurdle: the conversion call. What happens when the lead finally replies and says, "Yes, I'm interested, tell me more"? Many agents freeze at this stage or revert to old-school, high-pressure sales tactics that drive the lead away. In the next part of this masterclass, we are going to dive into the transition from email to phone. We will show you the exact bridge scripts that move a digital conversation into a physical appointment without feeling pushy. We will also discuss the 2026 consultation framework, which is designed to handle the most common objections regarding commission structures and market volatility. Do you know the one question you must ask in the first 60 seconds of a phone call to determine if a lead is a waste of your time? We are revealing that filtering question and the entire phone conversion blueprint in Part 9. Every email you have sent has been leading to this moment. Don't let it slip through your fingers now. The moment a lead replies to your email with a phrase as simple as "tell me more" or "can you send more details" is the exact moment many real estate agents accidentally sabotage their own conversion. They have spent weeks or months nurturing this lead with high-value content, building a digital relationship on autopilot, but when the lead finally raises their hand, the agent reverts to a high-pressure sales persona or, conversely, a desperate information dumper. In the 2026 real estate landscape, the transition from the inbox to the telephone must be handled with the precision of a surgical strike. You are not moving toward a sales pitch, you are moving toward a consultation. The bridge between the two is the permission-based transition. Imagine a lead named Marcus in Raleigh, North Carolina. Marcus has been receiving your segmented updates on the 2026 local inventory for 4 months. He finally replies to your email about the new townhome development near the downtown tech corridor, saying, "These look interesting, what are the price points starting at?" Most agents would immediately type out the prices and then ask, "When do you want to see them?" This is a mistake. Instead, you use the bridge. "Hi Marcus, the starting points vary based on the floor plan and the specific orientation toward the park. It is a bit much to type out effectively without knowing your preference. Would it be easier if I gave you a quick 60-second rundown over the phone this afternoon? Or would you prefer I just send over the full 40-page PDF brochure?" By giving Marcus a choice between a quick, high-value call and a dense, overwhelming document, historical trends suggest that 68% of high-intent leads will choose the call. Once you have Marcus on the phone, the clock starts ticking. The first 60 seconds are not for small talk about the weather or the local sports team. In 2026, the American consumer values time above almost all else. You must immediately establish the purpose of the call and deploy the filtering question. This is the one question that determines whether you are talking to a ready-to-act client or a perennial researcher. The question is this: just so I can make sure I'm providing the most relevant market data for your specific situation, if the perfect property hit the market this weekend, are you in a position where you would be ready to move forward? Or are there still a few boxes you need to check off first? Notice the phrasing of this question. You aren't asking, "Are you pre-approved?" or "Do you have the money?" Those are high-friction, confrontational questions that trigger defensive responses. Instead, you are asking about their position and their boxes. This allows the lead to be honest without feeling judged. If Marcus says, "We're ready to go," you know he is a high-priority hot lead. If he says, Well, we still need to talk to a lender and see if our current home will sell. He is telling you exactly which stage of the nurture process he is in. You haven't lost him. You have simply identified that he needs a specific type of help before he can buy. Case studies from top-performing teams in 2026 have shown that agents who use this filtering question in the first minute of a call increase their appointment-to-contract ratio by over 30%. This is because they aren't wasting 45 minutes on a tour with someone who legally or financially cannot move forward yet. They are using the phone call to diagnose the lead's needs. After the filtering question, you move into the 2026 consultation framework. This framework is built on 3 pillars: discovery, context, and the moat. Discovery is where you dig into the why behind their move. In the 2026 market, people aren't just moving for fun. They are moving because of major life shifts, remote work changes, multi-generational living needs, or tax-driven relocations. If Marcus wants that downtown townhome, you need to know if it's because he wants to walk to work or because he's looking for a high-yield rental property. This information will dictate every email and text you send him from this point forward. Context is where you provide the expert-level insight that makes you indispensable. This is especially critical in 2026, as we navigate the post-settlement era of real estate commissions and high market volatility. You must be able to explain the current historical trends in buyer agency and how your professional fee is structured as a value add. You might say, Marcus, a lot has changed in how we represent buyers over the last year. My role isn't just to open doors. It's to act as your lead negotiator and risk manager to ensure you aren't overpaying in a market where inventory is still the primary driver of price. This positions you as a high-level consultant, which is your moat. Your moat is the thing that a national search portal cannot do. An app can show Marcus a house, but it cannot navigate a complex inspection contingency or provide a historical analysis of appreciation in a specific Raleigh neighborhood. Imagine another scenario with a character named Sarah in San Jose. Sarah is a seller who has been on your nurture list for a year. She finally calls you because she's worried about the lock-in effect, the fact that she has a 3% interest rate on her current home, and is terrified of trading it for a 6 or 7% rate in 2026. This is a common anxiety in the current U.S. market. Your consultation framework allows you to address this without giving risky financial advice. You focus on the educational aspect. Sarah, historical trends show that while rates are higher than they were in 2021, home equity in San Jose is at an all-time high. Many of my clients are using that equity to significantly buy down their new rate or even make all-cash offers to bypass the interest rate issue entirely. Let's look at the math of your specific equity and see what your potential outcomes look like. This level of professional, data-driven conversation is the natural evolution of the trust you built through your email marketing. The emails were the foundation. The phone call is the structure. However, there is a final step in the phone conversion blueprint that most agents forget: the assumptive calendar close. Never end a call by saying, "Let me know when you want to meet." Instead, say, "Based on what you've told me about your timeline, the next logical step is for us to do a 20-minute deep dive into the specific floor plans of that development. I have a window open on Thursday at 4 p.m. or Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Which of those works better for your schedule?" When you use this script, you are taking the lead by the hand and guiding them to the next stage of the process. You are being a leader, not a follower. Potential outcomes of this approach include a dramatic reduction in ghosting and a significant increase in signed buyer-broker agreements. You have moved the relationship from a digital screen to a human voice, and now you are moving it to a face-to-face or video conference commitment. We have now mastered the art of the transition. We have built the email engine, cleaned the list, designed the landing pages, and learned the scripts to convert those clicks into calls. You are now operating at a level that 95% of real estate agents will never reach. But there is one final piece to this masterclass that ties everything together. Even the most successful agent can only handle so many manual phone calls and consultations. To truly scale your business in 2026, you must understand the advanced analytics and the exit strategy of your marketing. How do you know when a campaign is truly exhausted? How do you measure your actual cost per closing across different email segments? And most importantly, how do you turn this entire system into a hands-off asset that runs even when you are on vacation? In the final part of this series, we are going to look at the master dashboard. We will show you the 3 key performance indicators that actually matter for long-term growth and the one automation tool that can save you 10 hours of work every single week. Are you ready to see the final piece of the puzzle that turns a marketing plan into a legacy business? We are closing the loop in part 10. The master dashboard in 2026 is not a collection of vanity metrics like total subscribers or social media likes. Those numbers might satisfy the ego, but they do not pay the mortgage or fund a retirement account. To build a legacy business, you must focus on the 3 key performance indicators that dictate the actual health of your real estate operation. The first and most critical metric is your cost per closing. In the historical trends of the early 2020s, agents focused heavily on the cost per lead. If a lead cost $5, they were happy. If it cost $50, they were worried. But in 2026, savvy agents understand that a $5 lead that never closes is infinitely more expensive than a $100 lead that results in a $30,000 commission within 6 months. Your email marketing system is the primary tool for driving your cost per closing down. By automating the nurture process, you are effectively increasing the yield of every lead you buy. If you purchase 100 leads and your system helps you close 3 instead of 1, you have slashed your acquisition costs by 66% without spending an extra dime on traffic. The second metric on your dashboard must be the lead velocity index. This measures the average time it takes for a lead to move from their initial opt-in to a signed contract. Imagine a character named Michael, an agent in suburban Philadelphia. Michael noticed that his average lead was taking 9 months to move. By analyzing his email analytics, he saw a massive drop-off in engagement at the 4-month mark. This was his value gap. He realized he wasn't sending enough high-impact content during that specific window. He inserted a new automated sequence focusing on the logistical headaches of moving, hiring movers, transferring utilities, and school registrations. This simple adjustment increased his lead velocity index, moving his average closing time from 9 months to 7 months. This didn't just make him more money. It improved his cash flow and reduced the emotional fatigue of chasing cold prospects. The third metric is the sender reputation score. As we discussed in Part 5, your ability to land in the inbox is your lifeblood. In 2026, you should be checking your postmaster tools weekly to ensure your domain health remains in the green. A dip in your reputation score is an early warning system. It tells you that your content is becoming stale, your list needs cleaning, or your subject lines are crossing the line into clickbait territory. By keeping this score high, you ensure that when you finally do have a hot listing or a market alert, it actually reaches the people who need to see it. Now let's talk about the specific automation tool that can save you 10 hours of work every single week. In 2026, the highest performing agents are using AI-driven workflow orchestrators. These are not just standard CRMs. They are systems that sit on top of your email, calendar, and phone. Imagine if every time a lead clicked a link about downsizing in your email, the system automatically looked at your calendar, found a 15-minute gap on Thursday, and sent a personalized video invitation to a downsizing strategy call via text and email. This removes the back-and-forth scheduling nightmare that consumes hours of an agent's week. Case studies from a team in San Antonio showed that implementing this auto-scheduler functionality resulted in a 40% increase in appointments set while giving the lead agent 10 hours of their life back every week. They used those 10 hours to focus on high-level negotiations and listing presentations, which are the highest dollar activities in the business. To truly turn this into a legacy business, you must view your email list as a sellable asset. Most real estate agents have a practice, not a business. When they stop working, the income stops. But a business is something that can function without the founder. By building a robust, nurtured database with documented conversion rates, you are creating an asset that a younger agent or a larger brokerage would want to acquire. If you can show a buyer that your email list generates 20 closings a year like clockwork, regardless of who is making the phone calls, you have created a predictable revenue engine. This is the difference between a job and an exit strategy. Consider the case study of an agent named Susan in Seattle. After 25 years in the business, she wanted to retire. Most of her peers simply let their licenses escrow and walked away with nothing. But Susan had spent the last 5 years of her career perfecting her email nurture systems. She had a database of 5,000 local homeowners who trusted her and engaged with her content weekly. She sold her system and her database to a hungry new team for a significant multiple of her average annual commissions, plus a referral fee on every deal they closed from her list for the next 3 years. She didn't just retire, she cashed out. Imagine if you started today with that end goal in mind. Every email you write, every lead magnet you design, and every technical hurdle you clear is a brick in the foundation of that legacy. You are no longer just an agent. You are a media company that happens to sell real estate. You are a data scientist who understands human behavior. You are a systems architect who builds machines that produce wealth. The 2026 real estate market is unforgiving to those who rely on luck and manual labor. But for the agent who masters the digital handshake, the potential outcomes are limited only by their willingness to provide value. We have gone deep into the architecture of the landing page, the psychology of the subject line, the mechanics of the 33-touch system, and the legalities of deliverability. You have the full blueprint. The only question left is execution. As we conclude this 10-part masterclass, remember that the most successful systems are never truly finished. They are constantly evolving based on new data and shifting consumer sentiments. The gold standard of 2026 will be the baseline of 2027. You must stay curious. You must keep testing. You must keep the human element at the center of your automation. People will always want to work with people they trust, and in the digital age, trust is built one helpful email at a time. But what happens when the email isn't enough? What happens when the market shifts so violently that your standard nurture isn't hitting the mark? There is a nuclear option for lead generation that we haven't even touched on yet. It is the strategy that top-tier teams use when they need to double their inventory in 30 days or less. It involves a specific integration of direct mail and digital retargeting that creates an omnipresence effect in a specific neighborhood. If you thought this email masterclass was intense, wait until you see the data behind our upcoming series on hybrid farming. We are currently analyzing the results of a pilot program in Southern California that saw a 500% increase in listing appointments by combining the email systems you just learned with the new form of smart mailers. We will be revealing the exact templates and the digital triggers for that omnipresence strategy in our next deep dive series. The evolution of your business doesn't stop here. It's just moving to a new dimension. Keep your eyes on your inbox for the invitation to the 2026 Hybrid Farming Masterclass, where we will show you how to dominate the physical world as effectively as you now dominate the digital one.